It's a beautiful day here at the grandiose Park Fields at Clink Room Stadium. The temperature on field is a balmy 115 degrees.
A balmy 115, a breezy 115. Man, it's a cool 115 degrees.
Yes, it is. Here we are, Game 7 of the Elements League Championship.
That's right.
We have the Trashkals versus the 160-time champion Black Tigers.
100.
Hey guys, welcome to the lab. We are back with another episode of Sundaze with the Clink Room. Today we're joined by Rory Kelly. Rory, how are you?
Good. I'm doing well.
Good. Great to have a fellow Canuck in the house today. Fellow 51st Staters.
Yeah, right. I guess we should know what number we fall in.
Yeah.
Right. We do our homework, so yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, local guy. Love to get to know you a little bit better and kind of give the Clink universe a little bit of a chance to kind of know you a bit. You kind of bursted on the scene. I think it was like mid last year.
Yeah.
I've seen you in Critz a little bit more often, so
yeah.
that'd be a good time to get you a part of the show. But can you share a little bit of kind of your background and kind of how you got into design?
Yeah. In terms of getting into design, technically, following college, all that stuff, studied graphic design, advertising, graphic design. I went to, and being a Torontonian, Humber College.
Right.
So I attended Humber so many years back and studied ad and graph, as they say, and then found my way out to hopefully get work, as is always the idea from design students. Found it and been working in that space for again however many years, basically.
Cool. How did you what kind of inspired you to start collaborating with the Clink Room?
And honestly, everyone's definitely got their own story, but it sounds like for a lot of clinkers, including myself, there's this window, during the pandemic, right? It comes up pretty often, especially if you watch a Kitchener show. And it seems to be pretty common for certain, entry points. So that was definitely me, maybe a little bit later in Instagram scrolling and having a little bit, less things to do out in the world. So spending a little more time, checking out my feed and I think it was right like 2021 is when I started, maybe first saw the first few posts, and I follow a ton of visual stuff, right? I mean, Instagram is sort of that's my source over Facebook or anything really. So a lot of photographers, designers, illustrators I try to follow. Seeing that, I thought, oh, that's super cool, and then kind of followed down the path as these things go. I was just sort of like a spectator, right? Just enjoying what I'd see week to week. I think kind of late 2021 and maybe 2022. I had some time. It was freelancing. I still do freelance design and all that stuff. So, sort of thought it over. Thought, oh, okay. Like went to the website and kind of thought, okay, what are the logistics of this? And saw that it was actually quite simple. I was sort of stunned that it's like, yeah, here you go, you submit and just see how it goes. So, and then sort of got on. I think late 2022 was the first couple of submissions and getting in there, and then just pushing a little bit more into next year.
Awesome. How was your experience as like an art director kind of influenced your approach to hat design?
Interesting. It's some of it would inform that. Like it's such a cool medium. Actually, one thing that probably works into it quite a bit is like kind of illustrative design, like certain people will call it, right? Like doing illustration kind of work within logos and all that kind of stuff. I was doing quite a bit of that in the first few jobs that I had as a junior intern and all that stuff. And the first sort of real job where I was working like crazy, getting paid not a whole lot at an agency intern job, was doing some hypothetical like fantasy sports logos for the Score at
Nice.
that agency. Yeah. So I always sort of had a knack with that. Previous to that as well, before entering like ad agency work and everything, I had a job for a brief period of time at a company that just made logos, a lot of them. So I did that for a few months, and it was a little bit much for me. So and then moved into art direction, advertising, but yeah, so it's like that was sort of a space where I liked kind of creating logos from that angle and all that kind of stuff. So looking at the Clink Room was neat. It was definitely a space immediately where I was like, oh, okay, it's sort of a familiar sort of medium for me. So definitely reaching back to those
Nice.
piece of experience. Yeah.
Is it hard for you to balance kind of your personal style with like um, what will, like, quote unquote do better in voting, or sell more units, and is it hard to kind of find a balance for you as an artist?
And actually, one thing I feel like, even though I've sort of been interacting with the Clink community for some time now, I've been a slow mover, that's for sure.
Mhm.
I'm a slow moving object, as I always say. Even with work, I'm very patient with it. So I'm kind of slow poke with my own craft too. So so yeah, if anything, I feel like there's a lot more like at this point. Certainly, there's definitely a lot more experimentation, a lot like in like other Clinkers, more ideas as well that I want to do, and sort of finding more time actually within my day job and weekends or whatever to do more designs and to do some more submissions is definitely it's on my list of things to do. But usually, I kind of I find it interesting. I think I'm still learning a lot actually about that, you know, working with that and all that kind of stuff, and seeing what does well in the votes and checking in each week and looking at the crits and seeing how things move. It's interesting because it does sort of change and evolve a little bit from week to week. So right now I'm just sort of kind of watching how things go and sort of
Yeah,
informing myself a little bit.
yeah. How does your creative process work when you're designing a new hat? Like, are you starting with like a concept first? Are you a pen to paper guy? Are you more digital?
Yeah, definitely a pencil or paper. Even yeah, I almost always have to go in that direction, especially when doing this kind of stuff. I've been trying to push myself a little bit outside of that for the sake of speed and efficiency. I've got a tablet
Yeah.
that it's still working. It's an old Wacom tablet, but it's great. So I'll plug that in and I'll sort of start some stuff that way. Um, getting like sketching for Photoshop. Usually, I can do some rough stuff in that, and then I work in Illustrator and for the most part and pull things into there. But yeah, I'll usually get a sketch out. A decent one. I like to get things figured out quite a bit actually on paper, so there's less thinking on screen. Then I'm
Right.
sort of just kind of tracing it.
So your first one to hit production, right? It was Dandelions, the one I'm wearing.
Yes, yeah,
That hat, when I first saw it, um, I was shocked because I had never really been exposed to your art at the time.
right.
I remember how finished and complete it kind of looked. It had like a very like polished look to it. The colors were really dynamic.
Right.
It kind of you had mentioned in the description kind of how it celebrates like childhood creativity. Can you kind of share how that idea kind of came to life? Because when I was looking at number one, I was like, well, what am I looking at? Because it was almost abstract
Yeah,
too, because
yeah,
it got a lot of cool things, and it has this really dynamic colorway that works to me with the navy and the vice blue, and then
yeah.
the kind of orange pop and the yellow pop. Like, kind of can you talk about that design and kind of how it came to life?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. It was um, yeah, first one that sort of got to the shop, so I was super excited to
Yeah,
to see that move ahead. That
the
was great.
wait time is excruciating
Oh,
sometimes.
totally. Yeah, yeah. A minute is like a day. Like, oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you try to just ignore what's going on. It's like, okay, whatever. Um, yeah, it was. Yeah, that's an idea where, and again, kind of like connecting to your previous question. Like sometimes a concept, most of the time, like an idea or a concept, it'll just sort of arrive. I'll percolate, some thoughts sort of deliberately, or put my mind towards thinking of some stuff, and sort of just let things float around. That's sort of my creative process anyway. Even with concepts for work, sometimes is just let it build in the mind first, and then if it feels good and there's something forming in my head, then go and draw it out when it's pretty clear in my mind. But yeah, that was a fun one to like get the idea of. It sort of came out of nowhere. The whole thing about the dandy, tiger or whatever, that it's been around since I was a kid. It kind of a limerick that my parents, would say, as I mentioned in the description, being a creative, kid and drawing at a young age, all this kind of stuff, daydreaming and the whole bit. So I thought that would be sort of a good early concepts sort of to kick things off, and it's just sort of nice that was the first one, that got out of the gate with the Clink Room.
Hmm. So your second piece that you're wearing, Foxy,
Yeah.
that one kind of like embodies like adaptability, cleverness. What inspired you to create this concept?
Seeing a lot of foxes, actually.
Okay.
Just a pile of them.
Right.
Yeah, I was seeing this again during the pandemic, right? And it was in Toronto. I'm in the southwest end, Etobicoke, south Etobicoke area. So there's a bunch of parks and all that, but even despite that, I think it was all over the city, right? All kinds of wildlife was coming out because there was fewer cars on the road and everything. So yeah, I was seeing just foxes in the strangest places, middle of the day, whatever. So sort of overcome with that, thinking that this is super cool, and did the whole, looked up the symbolic, meaning and everything. Went down that route, and then I thought, it'd be a great, sort of a great concept to go for, with the foxes, kind of having it materialize, out of the ether or the smoke or the flame, like they sort of seem to do, whatever it's see, and they just appear.
Yeah. It almost creates two like Fs too, like a
Yeah,
like a reverse F and then a regular
yeah.
F. I don't know if that was intentional or
Yeah, it was. It was.
okay.
It was
Cool.
originally, yeah, and I reworked it. So the first submission, always looking back, it's like, oh wow, God, that was really simplistic. And built it out more. But yeah, there was definitely intentional to try to have the F in there.
Was the final colorway like the colorway you originally worked? Because it's a very distinct color and you don't see it that often. It's like this kind of like dark green, and it's got the gray, and then the orange really pops off.
Yeah, yeah. I've worked with a few colorways. I think the colorway, the logo itself, I sort of kept consistent
Mhm.
across the hat colorways. And I had like a dark red colorway and I think a dark gray graphite one, and then the dark green. And then there was just a few adjustments, from the one that was chosen to what came out the shop, which is super cool. I think the light gray visor wasn't originally in one of the colorways, so it's neat what was done. Just a couple of tweaks, and even in the eyes, it was a thing that came up actually
Yeah.
in a lot of the comments that the eyes were green. I had this like kind of light green color in there, and it was the odd one out in terms of the colors, right? So that was
Yeah.
taken out. But
Yeah. Is it hard for you to pick a favorite between the two?
Danny Tigers is I really love. I mean, it went over pretty well. It was actually tricky to get all the colors. I sort of jumped in the deep end with a whole lot of colors on that one.
Yeah.
I really did, and I thought, oh my god, So that took some time. But yeah, with all that, I'm sort of really happy that sort of worked out.
Mhm.
And then the hat, yeah. So I think from a design standpoint, for sure, that one a little bit more, but this one's great, absolutely.
Have there been any challenges faced with like kind of translating your ideas into embroidered designs? Because I know you've had a past with like creating your own T-shirts and stuff like that on a bigger canvas.
Yeah, 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 and it's sort of an area where I think only now it's I'd like to see maybe I think I almost got lucky maybe with the first two. I mean, I
Mhm.
definitely was like all things, like even with the work that I do professionally, like it's often where I'll have to um, uptake some knowledge for wherever the artwork might be going. If it's I've done some stuff from huge murals before. Again, on apparel, there's a lot of campaign work and logos that might appear in various medium and everything. So it's sort of normal for me to kind of understand where or to look at where the final piece will go and what to factor in. So embroidery and just kind of thinking to allow for the shapes, to be a certain size and space to one another, and the line width and stuff like that, thickness to consider for embroidery. That's not something that I have worked in or usually have thought around in my work, but it was super cool. Sort of yeah, just like reading comments and tuning into like the Monday Evening Crit stuff and again your show and just sort of learning and picking up some of those pieces to pay attention to. Um, you know.
For sure. I mean, I still think it's criminal that free radicals not in the
Oh,
shop
I
yet.
know.
I mean,
Trying to
that
push
thing.
that one is right. Is Good to hear you. So yeah, I thought to give it another shove. I was like, because it's hard to know really, right? I mean, you can get some good comments and all that, but
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me a little bit um of those like crazy flying tomato toys that we used to have as
oh
kids.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I don't even know what those things were about, but I remember they were rubber
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
they're always screaming angry
yeah,
tomatoes for whatever reason. I don't even know what those were. I
yeah,
definitely had a couple of those as a kid growing up.
yeah. I don't know if it was Hasbro or the '80s, right? It was a time everything had to have a crazy face. I think like Mad Balls was obviously this that kicked off
Hmm.
all these other crazy,
Yeah. I mean, even like sun-kissed
props.
raisins were weird,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
just weird
They
kind of
animated those things and all
yeah,
that, and created TV shows around them, which is super odd, but
yeah.
cool.
Who are some of your favorite clinkers out there?
Oh God, geez, all of them. I don't know. Right? It's so hard to choose. Um, it's such a cool community. I think I feel like this newbie who's just taking my time and move the way that I do, kind of slowly trying to contribute and do what I can to be involved. But it's just such an amazing community. Really, like it totally just keys into, I think, just about everything that interests me completely as a designer, as a creative person, all that kind of stuff. Like definitely the kind of work that I like to do, but just the way that, people kind of collaborate so evenly and in such a cool way, and all that kind of stuff. To yeah, just to put out some good stuff. So it's weird. It's like the whole community sort of seems like this one cool, awesome thing that just
Yeah.
is just so incredible. Yeah, it's almost impossible to pick a favorite. Really, it's everyone's style is so unique,
Hmm.
and that's what I find so amazing with the Clink Room is that that's what makes it. I think what it is.
That's what's kind of crazy about it. Like I've almost been doing this show almost 2 years now, at least a year and a half, and we haven't had many repeat guests. So I'm still
Mm,
finding like different artists to interview and kind of like learn kind of their process and what got them started. You mentioned a little bit about murals, like how like is graffiti a big part of your kind of design background, or even just art background?
Yeah, graffiti is something that I don't do. I've had some
Okay.
friends and design like colleagues and stuff who like do that
Yeah.
as well, which I've always sort of been enamored with. I've always been, wow, God, I wish I would have done a lot more of that as a kid and gotten in trouble or whatever
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
build that skill, taking the risks.
Right.
Yeah, I love it. Of course, the whole culture around it, especially as it relates to hip hop and all that. It's just like incredible. Um, but yeah, for murals, it's mostly like ad campaigns. Actually, there's a
Oh, okay.
few, yeah, where I again working digitally and all that, and sort of art directing, and designing, and preparing stuff to for the score. That was years ago.
Yeah.
Campaign for that.
Yeah. So are you a big sports guy?
Yeah, I do watch sports. I wouldn't say I'm a huge, like constant follower of sports. The baseball has always been so. Yeah, I've always been a baseball fan ever since I was a kid. So I do like baseball. Tennis, I tend to watch a lot of tennis. I've fallen off from it. So
Cool.
some of those odd sports, I tend to watch boxing. It's another sport that I've tried to love over the years. I do like boxing, but
I've never really gotten into watching a full match of tennis, but I do get wrapped up every time a Canadian gets
yeah,
like hot. Like I mean,
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
like
We've been
I'll
pretty good.
I'll watch then, but it feels like they'll get good and then
Yeah, yeah.
start getting injured and stuff. So
Yeah, we need our stars to pull us into the sport because it's a pretty tough battle.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Tennis is sort of global. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Were you a hat collector previous to this? Or did it?
Sort of. Again, I wouldn't say a hat collector. No, no. I've always, had some fitteds and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I've always had, liked hats and had a few kind of thing. So, yeah, definitely not a devout collector, but always, yeah, always definitely like a fan
no worries,
of
no
a
worries.
classic fitted. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The Jays are killing me lately. It's like
Oh,
the slowest car crash, and you can see it
oh,
coming.
yeah.
And every day, it's I mean they're testing me every day.
I guess
But
it's to be a Torontonian. It's funny. It's like it's true. They can make you hate whatever sport. It's like
yeah,
or test your will against it. I mean, if you're a Leafs fan yeah, we're going through that revolution again. I mean, it's a normal thing. We do this where we just, it's our team, we've got these great things and then they just get destroyed by management. We are supposed to get used to it, but here we go again with it. So,
I mean, we snuck one championship out of the Raptors.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah, yeah.
5 years ago we were just peaking. Like it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The Leafs are our last chance right now to relevancy, but we'll save we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, for sure.
But all right, appreciate you doing that. Let's kind of cover what happened at the Clink Room. So they did a Deadstock Drop Monday for VIP and then Tuesday for regular folks. So for those who don't know, these are typically not full size runs. They're either like leftovers or cancellations from the pre-order period. They do ship right away if you do buy them. So we will cover the styles that they did drop this week. Don't be surprised though if they don't have your size currently in stock. So the first four: Coal Mine Canaries, 80s Rock, Melon Mashers, and Reef Paradise. Anything about these four hats kind of stick out to you?
Yeah, they're all bright. Yeah, super bright and colorful. Definitely a bright palette for these. Coal Miners, I've seen. Actually, I've recognized all these, of course. Coal Miners, Mine Canaries, I thought was super cool. The pinstriping I thought was neat, right? Because every now and again there is a pinstripe, cap, and there's sort of like fewer of them. So yeah, I really love that, and the concept was awesome too as well.
And that one's a cool. Like I used a cool story.
Yeah,
I used to use them as like a carbon monoxide detector back in the day.
Exactly. Old school technology. It's amazing.
Yeah. I love the ones that are like good, like conversation starters.
Yes.
A lot of times, if you're wearing a Clink hat, first off, people are like, well, "What the hell are you wearing? Where did you get that?"
Yeah.
And sometimes people just mistaking them for like existing teams. Like I could see someone wearing like the Melon Mashers. I'm like, yo, what team is that?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Again, one of the super cool things about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
80s Rock just screams like Saved Bell era.
It totally does. Yeah, that's totally true. The Screech Powers could totally be driving that. That car.
For sure.
Yeah, that's definitely in that.
And Reef Paradise is beautiful. I mean, Raphael is mastered like the animal in the circle. This one's kind of sticking out of the circle a little bit, but
he's so good at that, right? I've looked at quite a few of his. Thought, okay, I tried one in an enclosure recently, and I thought, oh god, wow, what a tricky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, moving forward, we got Hang Time, Painter Kong, Tidal Roar, and High Moon. Anything stick out to you here?
Yeah, God, again, a bunch of great ones that I recognize them all, right, from past submissions. And High Moon I thought was super interesting. And Ryan's stuff. I've again looked at some of his work as well and checked out what he does. He's a really super talented guy, interesting animation background, I think. That one I just thought was so neat. It was like a cinematic shot, like it was very, very like film-like, which I thought was super cool. I know I'm going backwards through here, so I'm going to Tidal Roar. The super cool as well. The detail on that is insane on Tidal Roar, like really incredible. Yeah, that sort of blew me away. I thought, wow, the embroidery is going to be nuts on that. So it's amazing to see how it came out through. Painter Kong, awesome. I like the fact that it's like right over top of the Clink letters too. I thought that was sort of like neat and just kind of disruptive or a little bit risque. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. It's just like it was just like directly over top, covering up a couple of letters. A neat depiction of the Kong, and Hang Time is wicked too. That's again, the idea is super cool. Just a space guy just dunking, a ball into some universal, black hole in space. It's just wicked.
Yeah. The Houston Rockets basically used that as their city jersey. I think it was last year.
Oh yeah.
Like something similar. I mean, they got a different view of him. You basically get a view of his ass, so he's he's dunking.
Wow. Interesting.
But yeah,
be a better viewpoint than what they've got.
Yeah, he's like dunking it into the Milky Way. This one.
Yeah.
Painter Kong's really interesting too because when you initially see like the mock-up, it's hard to envision it, but like when you see it embroidered here and you see like the letters of Clink are super chunky and super raised.
Yeah.
But to me, the best one here for sure is the Title Roar. Just between the colorway and it's just so interesting to see Seamus's work. And I know I talk about it almost every week, but like he just doesn't outline, and
No, it's true.
It's
true. Yeah.
it's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting. Yeah, he's got such, again, like that the whole thing that there's such a unique style palette, right? From clinker to clinker. And yeah, his style is so interesting. He's, doesn't go with outlines, and which is, to me, would be daring. Like how you cut up the objects and the shapes to create. It's a little bit easier to use lines to do that, but when you're not doing that, it's like, wow, like
Yeah.
he defines his shapes incredibly.
Yeah, and then the imagery is amazing too. To me, like the foo dog, it just especially in like Asian culture, it's
Yes, yeah,
really cool and important. I see them all the time. I like guarding buildings and dim sum restaurants and stuff like that, and it's a cool piece. And yeah, High Moon. I mean, Simmons is so rad, and like you can almost hear the scene too. It's like
exactly.
He put like a movie scene on a hat. It's just,
yeah. There's like a whistle thing. You can literally,
yeah. All right, moving forward, we got Sumo Kong, Katana, No Really, I'm Okay, and then the Polar Beer. Anything here stick out to you?
Oh God, yeah, all awesome ones. No, really, I'm okay. It's interesting. Like that, it looks like you said, just like with the Clink Kong from the previous one. It looks so different looking at, and this is just from looking at the final product on screen, right? So in hand, it would be that much more. It just stands out because of that alone, because it's such a different type of an image, and it's got this 3D, effect to it, which is super cool. So yeah, that's really neat. It's just unique, kind of different type of concept for sure. Yes, Sumo Kong is again, that's another amazing one. Like the detail in there is just great. The colors, like the choice of the colors, are great too as well.
Yeah,
I always love to see when some designers will, which I actually find a challenge sometimes. My weaknesses are definitely where I take some time is with color choice sometimes. So these kind of like sepia tone or simplified design schemes and otherwise pretty detailed images, or something like a gorilla, I find really, really interesting. And that that was just great for that one.
yeah. It's almost like he went almost monochromatic on everything except for the red highlights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some great choices for the highlight.
Yeah, it's cool too. Is like when you see them together, the Sumo Kong and Katana almost look like they're part of the same pack. I mean,
they do.
They're flipped in the crown and the visor, but like the under visor with the red, and I believe Katana is orange instead, but like it's still kind of playing in that same kind of zone. It's almost like a Japanese fighter pack, but it's
it's true actually. Yeah, they could totally go in a pack. Yeah, they really do. Katana, that's great. When studio does some incredible stuff.
And Clifton kills like this like less is more style. Like he's kind of mastered that, like almost simple, but when you see it, it's unmistakably him. But so for these Deadstock, my only pickup was Seamus's piece, but just to get a view of kind of how that embroidery works, it's like he just like captured the water.
Yep, incredible.
Look
and
at
just
it's like
great
a
color
sculpture.
selection. Yeah, I was just about to say it literally looks like a sculpture. It's like it's carved right in there.
Yeah, and then this like vice really like this kind of tealish color works real well.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of not a bunch, but a pair of jade foo dogs too. It kind of reminds me of that like just kind of sculpturesque look. So congratulations, Seamus and Steven Johnson, Sawed Off Samurai. I think this is absolute stunner, absolute winner of a hat. And when I saw it, I knew I had to have it. But Casey and the team, they did their thing on the embroidery, man. It's I don't even know how you would even ask for this. Like I make hats too.
Okay, yeah,
And my uncle
exactly.
is like, how would you even ask for this type of embroidery? It's insane.
Yeah.
Like the levels of the waves, they're not even.
No, yeah, everything is pretty. Yeah, it's not like a simple terracing of of
Yeah,
everything that looks like okay, got our first
yeah.
level, second level. Yeah,
And then like
that's
the foamy part is extra raised and is the
and it
thickest part.
still
It's
looks like
just
foam, right? The integrity of the image is still
yeah,
there, which is
just
so incredible. Yeah,
that thing is amazing.
yeah.
All right, now we're getting into the last call. So these next 6 hats that we're going to cover, their pre-orders end tonight at midnight Eastern. So you have a little bit of time to get your pre-order in before they get sent into production and the price go up. So we got Iced Out by Levi, Sealed Fate by Heather and Creature, Silent but Deadly, Jason V and Flanagan. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I remember seeing these two as well. Yeah, for sure. They're all really cool. Yeah, it's yeah, looking at Sealed Fate again. There's like a 3D. Yeah, that works really really well. You can see it again. These are just like the mock-ups, but they did a great job with just the subtlety of the colors to get that wax sealed effect, which is super cool. Actually, I'm just sort of noticing that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great, and all just with one, probably two colors, right? So that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super cool. Great idea too. The Iced Out, that's a great one. Yeah, it's like there's been quite a few just simple faces, right, of like bears or whatever, and there's obviously only so much that you can do with that as an idea, right, to try to make it interesting because it's sort of a bit of a common image if you're not doing much around it
Yeah.
or beyond that. But it's super cool how again you did some great work with all the triangles and having enough of them in there to make it complicated and interesting and not too simplistic, but not so much that it's so overwhelmed where the image is sort of destroyed where you lose that the idea of a polar bear. So yeah, that one looked it's really really gorgeous. It's going to look incredible when it's embroidered. I think it's going to look really cool. And then Silent but Deadly is just that's a funny concept. I love that.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So it's classic. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so fun. The skunk with the match.
Hmm.
He's got a prehensile tail holding the katana.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
lighting
yeah,
is so cool and dynamic. The smoke is so good.
yeah,
That
yeah,
one is so fun.
yeah.
The iced out is so cool too because when you look at polar bear fur, I mean from far they look like they're white, but I think up close it's like a pearlescent color. Like they don't actually have color. So
Yeah,
for him to express like that in the crystal,
right.
it's a cool piece. I think Raphael did like a crystal panther
Yes. Yeah.
in the past, so it's cool to see like a different take on it, and I think it's executed real cool. Sealed Fate is like a 2.0. I think Heather originally did it. It almost looked like etched on, almost looked like a Bitcoin logo.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of a wax seal. I think that's where Donovan came in and suggested to do the wax seal.
Yeah.
The only thing that confuses me a little bit is the pitchforks. It's like I don't know why he has two pitchforks.
Right.
Usually
Yeah.
it'd be like a
Is
scythe,
it
but
scythe? Yeah. Are they're pitchforks? Eh.
yeah, well, they're two-sided scythe.
Okay.
They look like pitchforks to me.
Interesting.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe.
it
Yeah.
creates balance, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe the shape. Sometimes. Yeah, it's tricky, right? Sometimes just, especially working in a circle too, that challenge of getting everything to fit right within, let's
Yeah,
say, an arc. It's like that's. I wonder if that might have been it.
yeah. But I'm pretty sure that thing's an embroider back. So
Yeah. That's super
with
cool.
the super raised edges and the kind of like almost indented
Yeah.
look. So we'll see how that comes out.
Yeah.
Then we got Infinite Future, and then we got the first time I've seen hats have two options. This is the first tricolor option, so
Yeah.
3 variations. Be curious to see which race sells the best, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
beer batter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Super
this
cool.
was
It's
a
gonna be.
strong week.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And again, so there's some. It's nice to see the experimentation of working with concepts and um, come through week to week and all that. Infinite Future is super cool. Like, and some of the more like design, right, and less
Yeah.
illustrative, logos. It's tricky, right, to get to make them look interesting and all that, to get enough detail and enough stuff going on to make it sort of worthy of go ahead and put it on a hat. But yeah, that's one that's super cool, and with the whole like vaporwave, synthwave, 80s, like deliberate kind of 80s style going on to it. I think that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of like old video game covers, like cover art.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Nintendo era
Yeah.
stuff. Um, yeah,
Atari even are like right in the dead center of the 80s, almost like, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then Beer Batters, no slouch either. Big Flies got together with Phil Hauser.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got this ugly grouper looking thing
Yeah.
ready to hit the beer cap. Just smooth hat, man. Phil is just a master at just kind of capturing expression
Yeah.
and having characters with personality. And yeah, the Granny Slam. I think Granny Slam's funny. I don't know if anyone's gonna order all three, but I guess just pick the one that looks closest to your grandma. and
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah. The sales, right? It's like,
Yeah, I'm silently hoping for the warehouse not to, they were gonna really have to pay attention when they ship those things out because
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
two of them are very close. The one with the navy is more obviously not the same, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
two
It's,
blues are very close.
yeah, packing them and everything. It's definitely labeling them right. And yeah.
Yeah,
That
for
is,
sure. And then the shock drop. So the shock drop happened, I believe, Thursday night or even Wednesday night. But Big Clink is back. So
nice.
this one, Casey's design, has the beer logo at the side. So it's like a dark green.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Are you a side patch guy or not?
I don't know, right? And there's been a lot of conversation around it for sure, right? I
Mhm.
think I don't know where I fall with that. I think I'm somewhere in between. Like there's some where it really works,
Yeah.
like anything, and then somewhere it's like, oh, does it need to be on there? On this, it's great. I think because like it's got a Clink, it's just got the lettering on the front, and then you've got an image on the side. There's some nice balance there, right?
Yeah.
It's not overkill, but yeah, I think it can work quite well with some designs and maybe not so much, but yeah, it depends maybe on the design. I love the color of this. Actually, that's
Yeah.
probably my favorite color.
I'm gonna show it in hand. So I do have it in hand. So the one thing I can talk about this hat too, the lettering is not white. So it's kind of like this like off color, almost yellow.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Like a mint. Yeah, that's cool.
It's hard to describe what kind of color it is,
Wow.
but it's not white. It's like
Yeah,
a very faint yellow.
that's really nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a really
And
nice.
then the side patch shines a lot.
The metallic threading is super cool.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like metallic green
it
and
works
metallic
really
silver.
well. That's great, actually. Yeah,
Yeah. I like this hat a lot.
yeah, yeah.
Gray bottom, second best bottom after green.
Yes.
Gray is the correct answer anyway, because I think like a Kelly green on a dark green wouldn't look good. So
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. The gray is perfect.
yeah,
It's such a simple hat, but it's got such an iconic hat. It's great.
exactly. So strong hat, if it's still available, go grab it in your size. Big Clink in the forest colorway. All right, so now we're gonna cover the Monday Morning Critz entries. So the next 20 designs will be up for your vote tomorrow. So first off, Dinner Rush by Ink Park.
Oh,
What are your
nice.
thoughts here?
Yeah, Ink Park. He's got like definitely like his own style, which is awesome. Yeah, that's funny. That's great. It's like the idea you get immediately, right, which is awesome. A lot of his work is like that. The concept is pretty easy to grab. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't wouldn't be able to like change anything. Looking at it again, he's so good at doing the cartoony again, kind of like Phil, there's similarities. Not like they have their own style, but so good at capturing kind of the animated, um, like action-oriented, mascot characters. So yeah, that would be great for chefs or anything like that. People that are into culinary stuff, it's perfect for that.
Yeah, for sure. So fun.
Yeah,
And he's so athletic too. He's
yeah,
like a lost hockey team. I do like this kind of trick that a lot of these clinkers have been doing lately, where the outline is almost like a tonal outline, so you're still getting um, like the effect of having a secondary outline around everything, but then
yeah,
you're not pumping up the contrast. So it's like a
yeah,
cool little trick that I've seen that a lot of clinkers are kind of adding to their arsenal.
yeah,
Yeah, smooth. I don't really have anything bad to say about it.
yeah.
Um,
That's a lot of fun for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Deadly Slice, Clifton.
That's wow. That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've
I love it. Actually, he's doing a neat thing with the ball too. I was just kind of leaning in to see how he, because for your article, it's just like seeing how he dealt with the threading and all that kind of stuff. I always, kind of see how other people deal with that kind of an image. So that's super cool. Yeah, it's neat. Yeah, again, a concept that's super easy it comes across immediately.
yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, yeah. Maybe the stance. If anything,
Yeah,
it's tricky. Yeah,
you shift the stance a little bit. I do feel like the stance is off a little bit.
yeah. Only because with slice, I think my mind went to golf, right? A hook and slice. Even though I know what I'm looking at, and it's like, yep, yeah, I'm getting it. And then I think when I was taking the kind of the name and all that stuff, I was like, oh wait, okay, it could be golf. And then if you just change a couple things on there, that becomes a golf ball, and then just throw a tee down there, then his stance could very well be golf.
Yeah,
That's the only thing. It's like that classic baseball wind up with the lifted leg. You almost need that in there with any cartoon. It's almost like necessary. And it's frustrating because I think you kind of want to explore a different. There's winding up, and then there's
there's
one.
the follow through,
There's
like
a
the
follow through.
exaggerated. Yeah, the
Yeah, and the follow
exaggerated
through
follow.
needs that twist almost, right? And there's a classic way of showing that, and you almost kind of can't get away with doing anything else.
Yeah, I think too. The problem is golf never votes well. So like
Yeah,
this concept is almost made for golf. Like the scythe instead of a golf club makes a lot more sense than
yeah,
having a like the blade on the baseball.
yeah,
Um, but I do like his design. Still he refuses to use black, which I think is hilarious in its own
oh yeah, right. Yeah.
in its own thing.
It's a calling card though, which is cool, right?
Yeah,
And then it
I mean by
switched.
now it's
Yeah,
like he's holding true to it.
yeah,
He
yeah,
just doesn't
yeah,
like black thread. It's just one of those things.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, cool piece, Clifton.
yeah. That's a cool
And
concept.
yeah, I would love to see this as a golf piece because I think it makes way more sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
maybe. I mean, depending on how things go, it's like, yeah, maybe that'd be the one to push the golf. Who knows?
for sure. All right, moving forward, we got the Hammer Eye. So we got the Seamus the Skunk with Pig Samurai. So
Yeah, it's awesome. I like how it's just easily created, right? The circular
yep,
enclosure there with the great way to solve it for sure. Um,
yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. Like funny, like again, Seamus does a lot of cool, like humorous ones, right? Like some of his earlier ones when like the llama ones are great, like just
yeah,
hilarious. So yeah, this is definitely, done that same kind of avenue that he does so well. And he's got this style that I don't think I could pull off as well. Like again, everyone's style is so different, but he often does stuff straight on. Um, which I personally find tricky to get everything right. So, yeah, again, it's kind of like his other stuff where he's got action in it, and there's some movement, and it looks interesting. And it's got that kind of deadpan straight on um, layout, which is sort of tricky to make interesting. He handled it really well as usual.
definitely. It's got like a lot of little small details too, like his fingers. It's the right number of fingers for an
Yeah.
actual pig. Like he
Yes.
didn't give him like randomly 5 fingers. And,
Yeah. That's
um,
true. Yeah.
just small little details, and then like the under visor is like this kind of blush pink he used to working with that kind of maroon brick red and a stone crown. It's just, to me, it's a smooth hat. Kind of confusing a little bit, like what like a pig samurai, but it's still a rad piece. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
But all right, moving forward, we got the Kestrels, again by Seamus, and he's playing with letter forms this time. So we got the K in front of the or behind the bird. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is cool. I think this might be like a further iteration of one of his original submissions. I think so.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's yeah, I really liked it. Like he's done a really great thing with the layout. Kind of getting the bird set up in a way that works really nice over top of the K. And yeah, cool detail too. Again, the style that he tends to work pretty often in. It looks real enough, right? He got enough detail in there, but not to make it too overwhelming, which is really cool. The story I think that he wrote about it, I thought was really interesting. So it was actually quite nice just to how he chose the kestrel, the bird, the K. The letter form is like letter forms are it's something I've been thinking of trying to wrap my head around. And I think a lot of clinkers do, where it's like, okay, gee, how can I, do a letter form that's going to be interesting? So I'm always really interested to see how some of the other artists out there tackle letter forms. Yeah.
The bird's beautiful.
Yeah.
The thing with it is like with a design like this is like, is kestrel like popular enough that people know that it's a K? Is it recognizable as a bird? Some people like might not. So that's where the K gets a little bit.
What does it stand for? Yeah, because
like what does it stand for? Like it almost seems like it was added after the fact.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Look, we'll go back to your design, the Foxy. Like
yeah,
the fox is recognizable. It's a F.
Yeah.
But you kind of hit it more and kind of integrated it with the design. Here, there's no interaction between.
Yeah, for sure. And
perhaps.
Maybe that's the next step, depending on how this goes. Maybe that for sure, that's a good point. Could be the barrier for it, and like he's already done a great job setting up that bird in a way that naturally all is in the shape of a K. So maybe that's the next step with it is have the K less dominant, so it's again tucked in the background, like you mentioned, and then the question, people are looking at the bird, and then the question of, what does it stand for? The K becomes secondary rather than this.
Yeah, like I could see it being kind of shifted down and being like the shadow.
Yeah, interesting.
It forms like
backwards,
a cool.
Maybe even it could even to get some 3D that
Yeah.
And with the feathers on the head, I mean, there's so many things you can do to and then that stretches out to the top of that stem of the K.
Yeah, I almost wish, like if like I'm just kind of thinking of it like as like a Ryan Simmons animation. So like just take it a couple frames more where he's almost killing you, as opposed to kind of almost stopping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just give him that little bit of more Falcon, like I'm coming for you, because the wings are showing that motion, but like he's almost just like, what is it, like he's just stopping on a branch.
It's
punch
true.
You.
Yeah,
but like just give him that little bit more that like kill
predatorial
stance or something.
For sure.
Just to kind of take it up that one notch. But
and that might be enough to, again, it's like if it looks, to some people like an angry eagle, that's all that kind of matters. If you're a bird lover and you kind of like that look, and that resonates, and that might just be enough. It's for it to really register.
Yeah, we'll see how it votes. I mean, letters have historically been hard to kind of pass through, so we'll see. I'm pushing for it. I love letter form logos. Frozen Over, Cody Manning. What are your thoughts here?
Interesting, cool. Yeah, I think I've maybe seen his name. Is that a newer?
Yeah, I mean he's gotten a couple through.
Yeah.
He's been at it a couple months. I know he had the Christmas Shiv, which was hilarious. The candy cane.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's the only one he got passed through, but he's been submitting for a hot minute now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this is the concept is great. I really like it. It's funny. There's been a few, ice like it's cold turkey. There's been a couple of some ideas around that. So
Mhm.
this is neat. Like Hell Frozen Over. I love the idea.
Yeah.
I came across immediately, which is great. Yeah, it's an interesting style for sure, and it's like again not thick outlines in some areas, and it's like in a way, it's like I like that. And then I'm kind of thinking, could it use again like more heavy outlining or anything like that, just to give it its own weight against the cap, and even just shading underneath the feet, anything like that, or something like that, or maybe more ice, just more object kind of stuff to behind it or whatever, um, just to give it interest. But the character is super cool. Um, yeah, like you did really great work on, like the knee and looking at the knees and the angle of like everything's done really, really well in that regard, which is awesome. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's a cool logo. I know it take away from the rest of the frozen over part, but I almost wish that it was just like the head. But then it would
right.
just be
Yeah,
like it would just be a devil. I mean,
yeah,
you would
yeah,
totally
yeah.
lose the whole story of it and everything. But
The upper half,
um,
even too. I mean, there's ways of, and again, there's been some logos that are again border more on the abstract, where, like there was, I can't remember what it was, like there was a Space Kong one or maybe a Space Monkey one ages ago, where it was like in a circle. I loved it, and it was,
mhm,
just the way it was, like there was no legs or whatever. The head and the shoulders, but then the hand was exaggerated of the monkey, and it was sort of going in a curvature arc and
yeah,
create a circle. But it's like, perhaps it's, getting the top half where all the interest is, and you've still got the gloves, and maybe the hockey stick is there dropping further in the background, and you still have the um, trident, or what is it? What do devils use? Is it a
pitchfork,
trident? It's
pitchfork.
pitchfork. It is a
Yeah,
pitchfork, of course. Yeah.
yeah. The colors I feel like need a little bit of work because I feel like the yellow and the blue kind of work against the red a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Um,
I went with the gray. I was thinking just looking at it.
if you go strict black red, I think you're gonna run into legal issues because of the New Jersey Devils. I mean
Yeah.
that one.
Yes,
Um,
for sure.
so you might have to work on the concept a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got an ice pick or like a toothpick that's like an icicle. That's you can play with that or I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah.
if
Yeah. For sure.
there's stuff you could kind of do, but like right now, I worry about it getting approved because of the team.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You always have to worry about
it's a
that.
cool piece. It's a cool piece. It's rad. The colorways needs a little bit of tweaking, I think, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Definitely some choices, maybe in terms of whether to keep, the ice blue, or the yellow, or drop one, or do more with one or the other.
yeah, but definitely, I think the head's the best part. Like
Yeah.
that alone. I know some people don't like wearing devil stuff, so that might make it harder to vote. But it's a cool character.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, number 6, Birds of a Feather, Heather Green.
Oh wow, that's cool. Wow, the detail I just noticed. Yeah, the smaller bird shapes and branches and all kind of stuff. Like, yeah, way in the background.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, this is super cool. Heather's got like, yeah, it's such a broad style too, as well. Like, she does a pretty cool range of stuff like
Yeah,
that. So it's always interesting, to see what she puts out. Um, yeah, the detail is great in this. Yeah, wow, the feather lines, everything. It's like I love the number of birds there. I think part of me would, um, looking at it, would think that immediately it's like, okay, maybe not as many, or not as small, but there's actually something about it that I find interesting, because there is such detail on that feather. So it sort of warrants having, these really, really small birds fading in the background like that. Um, yeah, it's cool. The mountain might be the only thing that, looking at it, it's like I would almost, it's like it's maybe not needed if it is all the birds of a feather, flock together. Maybe, yeah, if there's any, issue or whatever at Critz with it, that would be the only thing in my mind, is to possibly eliminate that and just deal with just the idea and taking the the birds, and if there's any issues with them being too small or too many, and pulling them in and maybe integrating them a little bit more to come out of the shape of of that feather, really to be overlapping and really sort of spiriting out of there, might be a solution. But other than that, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting piece for sure. I mean, it's like the cliche tattoo
Yeah,
um 10 years ago, like I
yeah,
feel like it warping into the word believe or something, like
yeah, for
you
sure.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
definitely.
but yeah, it definitely takes me back. I like the colorway, she's taking like a really classic MLB colorway, mustard black of the Pirates, Kelly green. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah,
Um
yeah,
but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this votes. Like,
yeah,
um some of those birds are tiny, almost microscopic.
yeah. They're very small,
Um,
very small.
yeah, it's a cool piece. All right, moving forward. 7 Ghost Town. I think we've seen this before, but maybe this is 2.0. But oh, it looks like a new colorway. I think the original was black, so this one's more of like a walnut mahogany kind of burnt wood brown. I think this is just an updated colorway. I don't know if there's any actual changes to the art. I don't remember.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
4
it's
days ago.
yeah, he's got an interesting style. This is really, I've got to go back and then and look at the earlier submission of this. It's fun. It's got I kind of like the really simple, fun, cartoony, almost simple zine its style lines to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that I really love about it. The layout is super cool. I like how the moon is just at really where he's done. It's got the ghost and the moon just kind of dead center in between those branches. It's super fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah. It's cute. It's definitely like it's just got a really lighthearted, cute comic-y kind of a feel to otherwise, of course, sad, dreary, ghosty kind of an idea.
For sure. Let me see if he did repost this. Oh yeah, he did repost it. Or the first time we've seen it, January or December, not okay.
Earlier on.
Yeah. I swear he did this before, like near Halloween, but I guess I'm wrong. Either way, it's a cool piece. I feel like we're so far away from Halloween now though.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was gonna say. It's after Halloween, but maybe when it
Yeah.
gets made and then shipped and all that stuff, thinking of it that way, it might arrive and for Halloween.
Yeah.
It's always tricky, right?
It's almost like a part 2. So he had a one that was called Lurkers, which was
Yes,
just the
yeah,
trees.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it is very similar, actually. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite similar to Lurkers, also very cool.
So it's almost like a 2.0. Yeah,
A
it's
little
just a
bit,
cool
yeah.
piece.
Actually, the face is very similar. I think he's using that similar ghost. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. All right, cool. Number 8, the honey badger.
Oh, yeah.
Seamus will not give up on this
No,
concept. He
no,
wants
it's great.
the honey badger in there.
Amazing. Just like a honey badger, right? They're incredibly, right? They are determined and
Resilient.
fierce.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't
They
want to
will
get in the
not
way
give
of it.
up.
No, no, no. So it's fun. He's living a concept with it, which is great. Um, yeah, I mean, I like it. This is, I think, definitely like he's made refinements to it that are just sort of making it better and better. I think with each one is sort of what you want to do. If you continue to resubmit, you want to make sure that you're making good on improvements. Yeah, it's like I feel like this is sort of a concept, and maybe this is why it's tricky to get through. I think there's so many ways around this, almost too many, right? It's like there was one, I forget who did it, but it was like a honey bear type, very simple. I don't know if
And
it
Clifton.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's that way of doing it where instead of cute, he's got a claw, like whatever it is, he's angrily. You kind of go about it so many ways, and maybe that's the issue. Is you could almost do a zillion different ways of having a honey badger, you know, working his way through honey, or being involved in honey, or made of honey, or you could have a whole thing like the honey. What is it? Which I still think that they make. I don't know if it's just a Canadian product. The bear shape, plastic squeeze honey kind of thing. Like you could actually do that, kind of thing, and have it be like a container of honey that's like a badger. But yeah, he's done a great job with it here, and I wonder if maybe it's just there's so many different cool ways to go about this that it's you almost have to see them all to see what the masses would like to go through, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think Clifton's was more literal, like it was like a badger eating honey. So it's like a honey badger. It was like more of like a literal thing. This
Yeah,
is kind of taking that crazy African animal and adding honey to it, which is a cool kind of take. I feel like the yellow in this really hurts the design.
Mhm.
I probably would turn that into like an off-white kind of seashell kind of color. The
right.
problem is he does have that in this kind of almost mullet. Yeah, he almost looks like Tiger King, like Joe Exotic.
Actually, yeah,
Um,
actually, totally. Yeah, he
yeah,
does. Wow.
yeah. And then I feel like the claws are almost plopped on where they're almost not interacting with
Yeah,
the honey part, like either making them swipe through a little bit or
yeah,
get honey on them. But
yeah,
I think this rust colorway with brown, the gray bottom is a good base of a hat.
yeah,
So having said that, I think some colors that look really good on this rust color hat are metallic copper, metallic gold, seashell / cream.
yeah.
Those colors kind of work well. So I would I would get rid of the yellow because you already have so much
Yellow.
like yellowish honey
Yeah,
color,
yeah.
um it's
Yeah, it's
just
sort of
like
the odd
it
one out.
doesn't help your design, but art wise it's a cool piece. I would just color block the logo a little bit different.
Yeah, your point too. Yeah, but integrating. Yeah, yeah, it's true. Right, given the direction he went in, it's like it almost warrants. Yeah, like pushing the honey and the badger, together more to integrate more to
Hmm.
come out of it or whatever. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just the a-hole of an animal though, just
Yeah,
indestructible.
yeah,
um
yeah. You don't want to toy with them.
all right, eye on the ball.
Oh,
um,
funny.
Josh Foles, what do you think of
Yeah.
this?
Um, I think did he do a previous one that was kind of similar, but maybe not.
I
Or
think he
maybe
did like one that was like a Tyrannosaurus Rex swinging his tail, I believe.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause there's a few I think maybe that come up where there's some similarities in the action and all that. This is great. I mean, Josh Foltz, he's a thinker whose style I really really love for sure. Um, I think he's expressed his love of Mad Balls and all that kind of stuff before,
Mhm.
so I can definitely identify with that for sure. Um, yeah, this is just a lot of fun. The green slime outline to everything and action lines is great for sure. And like the idea, the joke comes across pretty well. You can't go wrong. You get a dead guy and a zombie and his eye coming out and using his leg to hit the ball for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, I like the concept. I like the art. It's cool. Just a couple things you guys suspend belief. I mean, obviously he's like a freaking zombie. Um, I just feel like the leg proportion is a little off because like he's got this little dinky leg that's still attached to him, but then the leg he's swinging is so long.
big.
But then if it were to connect, like if you were to put that leg back on him, he would have a leg that's like 4 times longer than his other leg. So that is a little
Yeah, yeah,
um
yeah,
is a scaling issue.
yeah.
I don't know how you would fix that. But the other thing too is you got the speed line. I get the speed line of the ball, but the speed line of him is going backwards. He almost needs the speed line coming the other way because
Right.
just to indicate he's about to bring the force
Yeah,
to hit the ball. But I mean, like obviously these are like small, like we're nitpicking like tiny technicalities out of like a fictional character. So
yeah, and it's tricky,
I
right?
know
It's
how ridiculous it sounds, but like
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing, right? But it's valid. And I think perhaps I bet he probably goes through the same thing, and it's true. It's like where do you draw those lines, especially with something that's totally fictional. But it's like one of those things. I always like to think, even with design work that I'm doing, if one person is noticing it, then another and another, and then all of a sudden these things become sort of valid. But those are totally good points. Yeah, with the leg. Yeah, and there's so much detail in there. I didn't, sort of put that together, and then when you're describing, it's like, okay, yeah, 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 yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
So I don't know how he
Perhaps
fixes
removing
it.
the bone edge. I mean, looking at it too, does he need the, on the leg that's severed? Again, you're dealing with a cartoon and gore and drips and blood and all that stuff. It's, maybe it's getting rid, that extra extension of bone and just having the whole, red guts, that would work just fine, the bloody kind of stuff. And then just, the hole in the center or whatever, that would probably make it pretty clear that it's a stump of his leg. And that might maybe enlarging a little bit the other leg that's planted and maybe shading it back or something. Sometimes you can get over the top of it. Maybe it's darkened out or something if it's further in the background or something like that
Mhm.
to foreshorten it, or give the idea of it's further in the background maybe.
Yeah, but it's definitely a rad piece.
That's fun for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we got Sabretooth by Wind Studio. What are you thinking about this?
That's cool. It's like he's got a he's really great with like detail and with realistic kind of detail, which always really great to see. Um, yeah, it's cool. It's like he's so great with animals. I think he's sort of the king of doing these kind of like semi-fictional, animals or like mystical animals as well that are kind of done with realism. It's like I almost feel like the skull. It's like I'm sure, like in a lot of his submissions too as well. There's really great stories and all that kind of stuff threading into the design. So I'm not too sure. Perhaps I have to read back and see if that was like the skull had some kind of meaning in there. But yeah, it'll be. It's like I almost want to see the claws a little bit larger out front because he's done such a great job with the dynamic action from back to front and all that.
Yeah, he just had one, and there's like that red panda in the same kind of colorway,
Okay, yeah, yeah,
similar-ish.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Gentle Warrior. So instead of peach, he went like this is a little bit more peachy. The Gentle Panda is like more like gold.
yeah,
I feel like he just came off like a really green-ish kind of hat.
yeah, yeah,
I'm with you. I don't know if you need the skull. Um,
yeah. It depends. If it's part of the story, it's like for sure. Or if it becomes, obvious. I'm kind of an idea, right? I mean, like sometimes you don't need to an idea or a reason to have an object somewhere or whatever. It's not always necessary.
yeah,
But sometimes, if it's nice to have a rhyme and reason to, especially if it's something like a skull that is so iconic and making a statement like of death and what happened. And it's alluding like a story maybe that happened right there between the saber tooth and the skull, or maybe it's having the skull of whatever animal, the saber tooth, if it made other animals extinct or when it
yeah,
existed, if it's a story of that through time, perhaps the skull of another animal, which might make it look a little more gnarly and put together a little more of a historical story um, there. But yeah, that was the only thing I was like, why the human skull? But the depiction is rad.
yeah. I almost wish he just would just cut the rest of the body. Forget the smoke, forget the skull, forget the body. Just do that head because the head
Yeah,
is
yeah,
drawn
yeah,
so cool,
yeah,
almost like
absolutely.
a alternate Nashville Predator kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, it reminds me of that like that tiger from He-Man. I
yeah,
forget.
yeah. Bowcat, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
totally. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And there's with the fur. I mean, there's cool things you can do, right? With sweeping around everything to
yeah,
to
for sure.
enclose everything. Yeah.
It's interesting, like his teeth, like the top teeth. He's got obviously the two canines, but like the incisors in the middle, and then he's got almost like a mini canine kind of
Yeah.
coming out. I mean,
Yeah.
when I'm here critiquing like the smallest teeth, but I feel like teeth are off slightly. But I mean, it's a good piece. The art's good, drawn well.
Yeah.
Sure, he'll vote well. I mean, he votes real well. So we'll see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
All right, number 11. We got Funded by the green one. Heather's back with another piece here.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
Oh man. Yeah. The folded money. I always. Yeah. It's such a Seamus, right? He's done
Hmm.
a bunch of these, and then Heather. I don't know if this is her first.
I think they teamed together
They did.
They teamed up on one together. It was like a Dead Money one where it was like a
Ooh.
skull
Mhm.
and crossbones. I
Right.
think they teamed up together. So like she's kind of gone solo with this this kind of jet thing here. So
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, the shape of the jet came across right away, which is good. Yeah, the folded money thing, I kind of look at that and think, oh God, well, that's such a challenge. It's like super brave to go ahead and do that. You know, to try to register an object and all that. Yeah, it's like the only thing I'm not getting, and maybe I'd have to go back and look at the post. Is yeah, the idea of like funded within there. It's like what? Yeah, where is it like fun? You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to, and again, this is my idea brain. It
yeah,
sometimes latches a little bit too quickly onto, okay, where's the idea? Where's the connection?
it's
Where sometimes,
almost as if like she's making a comment about like how wars are funded, maybe
yes,
like
exactly, yeah,
just
yeah,
wars. Yeah, I almost wish it was just like a plain, like not made out of money, like just like a paper. Like it'd be cool to see this just as like a paper plane, but like it's more advanced than the regular paper plane, so it'd be like kind of cool to see it just
yeah.
on paper.
And there's so many ways, and with again, if it's something like Warren jets, I mean, when they're in flight, I mean, there's again another thing where there's so many ways to depict something like this to really, if that's the idea kind of this like not comment or whatever, which is super cool, right? I think those can make the most interesting designs. But yeah, maybe a series of a couple jets, going this way or whatever, and they're all made of money. Like maybe it doesn't have to be, just the object, right? Which again, that's been sort of the approach to this these types of concepts, which is amazing. But maybe with this, it's this takes it a little bit out, to have a few going flying into the sky or something with
yeah,
contrails or something that are green or whatever.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
All right. Strong colorway too, black with this like
yeah,
olive green and a Vegas gold under.
nice color choices.
Great one here. All right, Aaron Gabro,
Yeah, yeah, exciting.
Flanagan and Jake got together.
Yeah. No, this is great. It's I think there was another submission. I think with a similar titling from Flanagan that I thought was great. And yeah, he's done a bunch of Irish related ones, which I've got Irish roots going however far back. So I always like to see those come out. Yeah, it's a neat take on the clada symbol. It's a symbol that I know I've got it on a ring of mine actually.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a symbol that I think is great. I'm very very familiar with, and I've been thinking actually to try to tackle some kind of a Celtic design as well. So when I saw this come up, I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. Those are pretty cool to see how they tackled this. Yeah, it's like the shapes and everything. I think it's a super cool like expression of the clada symbol. The only thing right off the bat, I was like to me was that the colors within there, even though I know it's relating back to Ireland and all that kind of stuff, I was almost wanting to see it without that. And given the fact that the clada, it's often depicted in gold and on jewelry and stuff, even though the symbol itself goes further back and it's probably first carved in stone, I would imagine. But it's almost synonymous with like gold rings or jewelry, and it's often on rings as well. And there's symbology to how you have the ring on as to if you're with someone or if you're not. If it's a wedding ring, which is often used in Ireland. So yeah, it's like I almost want to see it like gold threading. It's like almost no color. It'd probably be a pretty cool way of just and having as long as the shape of everything is true or indicative of the original clada symbol, then I wonder if the Irish aspect of it will ring true through that.
It's interesting too. Like he found a cool way to mix like that Celtic knot that's typically like a heart and made it into like the clover.
Yeah,
I thought that was a cool thing. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, probably just take out the flag and then you can kind of hide it in certain aspects. So like that 3-leaf clover, you can make one color per fill of the heart. So you can make one green, one white, one orange.
yeah, for
There's
sure.
like there's small ways you can kind of
Yeah,
hide it. Maybe his gem of his crown is green, white, orange. Like there's
Yeah.
like things you could do. But yeah, I'm with you. Like the concept's cool. It's rad. I don't know too much about Celtic like culture, so I'm not gonna sit here and pretend. With like the kind of like the knotted stuff, and I've seen it around and kind of used, and yeah, it's a rad piece. Like just going off the visual
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Number 13, lucky number 13. It is Monk by Heather and I am malicious. I believe that's her. She's saying it's her best friend that's learning Illustrator.
Oh, okay.
So they've collabed together to do the Monk. What are your thoughts here?
Nice. Nice. Um, yeah, well, the Illustrator work, the vector work is good. So if that was, I'm delicious. Hope I pronounced that right. If that was, their handy work. It's, yeah, the detail's nice for sure. Yeah, it's like again, whenever I almost want to see enclosures. I mean, that's a designer in me, where if it's something that's centered, and has meaning or whatever. Yeah, I almost automatically want to, beads or something like that, right? As an enclosure or something. That was the first thing. But really, other than that, it's like that's kind of the only thing where it's, my eyes like, oh, okay, what if, how would it look if it was shrunken down and just enclosed it a bit, just to be given a home kind of against the background. Um, yeah, the colors, it's white crowns, or this is like an off-white crown, right? I think.
Yeah, like a chrome.
Yeah, I haven't dabbled with a lot of them myself. I find that it's a tricky, like, to make it work. Way to go. It can look super clean, but it's like, yeah, I would love. It's like, it's like already I'm kind of thinking, okay, what in different colorways, how to look, the seafoam green background or something, or yeah, if it was done more mono, like fewer colors or something.
Yeah, like the thing about it with me is it's like a cool piece, it's a rad piece, but like I'm kind of like wondering like why,
Yeah,
like
there's the idea too. It's like, yeah, monk. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
where,
like I
yeah,
mean I
like the
get it, it's a
monkey.
book.
I do get the monkey part. So it's, yeah, it's like I can see where it's going.
Yeah.
And it's tricky because in the Clink environment, it's like there's this immediate. If it's a gorilla, it's like it's more Kong. So there's this really cool. It's like the gorilla is now become the Kong, right? Because of the
Mm,
symbology of Clink. So it's like if you have a gorilla, and I know that sometimes the naming is just the naming, right? So it sort of doesn't matter. But even still, it's, with the Kong related concepts, like there are hallmarks where, the purple is often used because that's the color of the Kong, right? So it's, if you're having a gorilla there, it's really hard to avoid that. And you know what I mean? Like you sort of have to go one way to have that idea come through. And if it's could be a monkey or something like that to play with the idea of a monk, then you almost have to sort of make sure it's more of a monkey type of an idea or an image rather than like a gorilla, and sort of have the idea work its way through that.
yeah, I actually always like worry about like cultural appropriateness to like because you're turning something that's supposedly like so peaceful and like why is he angry? Like he's
Yeah, yeah.
supposed to be
Should be
like
chill. You should, yeah.
like in the Zen mode. I wonder if his like legs are supposed to be crossed that way. Like usually they cross a little bit different, and I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know. Like
yeah, yeah.
if you want to go like Shaolin monkey or something, then like pick like a pose where he's like maybe he's got a staff and he's ready to fight you. But like I don't know, like the
Yeah, yeah,
peaceful yet angry pose is kind of like
yeah,
almost
yeah,
off-putting.
yeah,
Um, and the
yeah,
colorway doesn't help it, but you know it's a cool piece. Like you said, it's illustrated nice. Like it's rendered beautifully. Like
yeah, yeah,
it's just for me, it's like what like I don't know.
yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah,
definitely maybe some gaps in, yeah, in, like the idea and then what's being depicted.
yeah. Like I almost feel like because like the Padres kind of took that like kind of monk character too, like that
Oh,
like almost like a Western monk character, and it kind of made it like goofy and funny. Like if you want to
mhm.
do like that way, but like I don't like this one's like I don't know, it's a little too.
Swinging monks. That'd be quite. again,
Yeah.
maybe contending with the it's some legal there, but yeah, that would be. I mean, that's always a fun tie-in.
Yeah, yeah. But then you could like sneak like a little tail, that way you can kind
Yeah,
of say it's like a monkey, like a
yeah, yeah,
monk,
yeah. You can
whatever.
turn that into a design feature again. It's one of those things where, yeah, right. It's like you can solve a lot of problems too if you're wrapping something in closure, doing whatever. But yeah, there's might be some more work to this after the crits. Who
Mhm.
knows?
But if you keep it this way too, I'm with you. I feel like it's almost begging for some sort of like triangle to hold it in, or
Yeah, yeah,
some sort of, like I could picture like a triangle kind of going behind him and then in front of him and then behind him again or something,
yeah, 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 yeah.
just to kind of
And
hold the
showing a
shape in.
space out maybe a little bit, and then maybe that, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The concept's there, just a little bit of tweaking. But all
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
number 14, wide mouth. Drinking Nature. I'm not familiar with Drinking Nature, so I'm gonna look him up.
Oh, he's had a
Uh,
couple of interesting ones. Yeah.
Yeah, but what are your initial thoughts on this?
Interesting. It's like I want the dark colors to be deeper. That's just half the bat because there's the deeps are so prominent, and especially in the tail and all that stuff. Like they create the shadow and they create the. I think like it's a really cool shape that he's done, and that way of illustrating the fish. That way is it looks kind of cool anyway. It's a really neat shape essentially, and it's rendered quite well. So yeah, right off the bat, just looking at it, I was just like, oh god. Despite any style preferences that Drinking Nature might have towards the use of black or not use of black or whatever, it's like having it almost the same color is a crown, so that the contrast is that much more clear. Would be great.
Yeah, I think that like kind of really green doesn't help it. There's a
Yeah,
lot of green in here. There's greens and teals. I almost feel like the fish and the can are like elements that are too like different. Almost as if like you just threw like a piece of can onto like it was almost like two different people did them. So like
yeah,
the
for
line
sure.
weights aren't the same, but like the concept wise, it's a cool concept.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. It's like they're like the fish itself is good. Perhaps like the like having, let's say, the inside of the mouth or whatever, right? Like if working away, so at first glance it looks like it's just a really wide mouth of a fish, but then you see the shape of the can obviously in there, but without it being like okay, the metal top, so it's more the shape that comes across. Perhaps that's a way around it.
Yeah,
Just tweaking it, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's almost like he swallowed a can too.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I mean that's a whole other cool, kind of a strange, painful, morbid kind of idea too. But if it's cartoony or whatever, like morbid tends to go well with the Clink stuff too. So
yeah,
yeah, that could work too.
yeah, and I think atomically too, it's almost kind of confusing. Like, is it a bass? Is it just like a wide mouth? I don't know. It's just like
That's what I was thinking. Is it's like smallmouth bass, largemouth bass.
yeah,
I'm not a fish, a
I'm
fishing
not either.
guy. Yeah, so I don't know, and I know that there's tons of different types of fish, and there's definitely some, a lot of if you're interested in that, like if you know kind of thing. So maybe it's that, but yeah, since I don't know, then I wouldn't know. There's a
Yeah,
wide mouth fish that's very well known. That's like a wide mouth can.
for sure. I do know that like if done correctly in this pose, it'll stitch real well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
a couple tweaks and we'll see.
yeah.
Number 5, Neon Sunset. So it looks like Seok and Flashy got together for this.
Nice, nice. Yeah, two familiar names. That's cool. See them working together. The neon designs, I always find it interesting to see how people figure their way around it, right? For um, when there's submissions that are done that way. So it's an astronaut, right?
Yeah, it's like an astronaut. It's almost like if you like
Super
put a
trippy.
filter on a picture almost.
Yeah, it's really really trippy because it's like I'm looking at like I'm seeing it as an astronaut, and then I'm looking at the lower half. I'm like, wow, that could be a total other shape in there, opposed to fuzzy up my eyes or whatever. Um, Yeah, it's neat. I think the space between some of the lines for sure it could be more consistent. Like the neon ones are so like tricky. Some of the other ones that was it Seamus, the llama. There's one version, where he did that on the llama bomb kind of thing or whatever.
Mhm.
And it gets like you almost have to have this perfect consistency between the spaces and also the width of the neon lines. Sort of should be the same width as the gaps between each line. So right off the bat, definitely, I think some tweaking for that could be done. Um, it's it's neat. It's abstract, and again, this is something where it's like I'd almost want to read the description or whatever it is or the concept to see if the connection between like neon and the astronaut and in space and sunset is, and the image on the glass, right on the mask. Like there's a cool abstract image on there, which
Yeah.
like I feel like there's a story in there that I might not know, because it's so deliberate and there's the light. It's got you got the glare point in there, which looks sort of abstract and the stars and everything. But yeah, the abstraction looks like there's a story in there that I should know.
It's just like the jerking me wonders like if is there any sunsets in space? Like because it's like an Earth thing, right? Because like the Earth is spinning, and when we're not facing the sun, that's when we get the sunset. So like, what kind of sunset are we really having if we're in space? So that kind of is a bit kind of confusing to me. If you're just looking at it, um, like it's a cool piece, it's a rad piece,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you know, um, it's just some of the stuff you see here. I think it'll embroider cool, like the actual concept of it, like having um a real cool outline, and then having the fill be black and flat, and then having that kind of pop color be like super thick raised.
hmm
Like it's like we've not really seen um the image of astronaut be kind of done in that way, so that's kind
yeah,
of cool.
yeah.
But the name, like I can't get over the name, so maybe that's
Yeah, yeah, and it could be that just that might be a simple solve with not having
yeah,
to and just having it just be a cool design. Then of course, having a name that sort of works with that. But yeah, yeah, for sure. And with the neon stuff, it's like it almost warrants like complexity, like perhaps then more colors, and then just making it more visually trippy and dynamic, and probably some lines in the inside too, but not too many
yeah,
to give it even more depth and interest.
yeah. I'm
Because
almost seeing
that's
like
what it is.
like those like drone shows that they do. Like that's what I'm picturing. It's not even like a neon sunset, almost like just like a cool image of an astronaut in the sky, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, and maybe that's yeah, make them smaller, and they could do solar system stuff or whatever, like
yeah,
stardust and all that, cosmic
yeah,
lines around them.
exactly.
Yeah,
All right. Moving forward, we got Watchdog by Levi. It's like his Doberman in a like a little pocket watch. What are you thinking here?
yeah. It's like the idea, of course. Watchdog, boom, right off the bat comes across, which is cool. Levi's, yeah, he's definitely like the dog, yeah, guy. He's got a lot of, he's definitely handles that pretty well. He's got the Doberman, he's used a few times in some designs, so it's sort of a bit of a calling card aspect of what he does. I can't remember. Was there maybe I'm crisscrossing it. I know there's a rabbit watch or whatever, but was there another watch? There's so
Like a
many.
pocket watch? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
know there was definitely a rabbit that had one.
And I think there was a portrait recently, and I can't remember who it did. It was quite interesting of like a dog kind of portrait, and there was an idea there. So yeah, I think I'm taking a few things, and because they were semi-recent, and yeah, there's some crossover of some imagery. Um, so,
Yeah, so Wynn did one called Time's Up. It was almost like a
yes.
Peaky Blinders style rabbit holding a pocket watch with like a skull inside.
Mhm.
Um, it in the same way that like the feather felt like the atypical like female tattoo 10 years ago. I
Mm,
feel like this is like the male equivalent, almost like there's so many people getting like what you know pocket watch tattoos almost. Kind of
yeah,
reminds me of that.
yeah.
The
DFT
art's
was one.
cool, like the name works. Um, almost feel like the door is missing off of the pocket watch. I mean, do all of them have doors? I don't even know. But I feel like something is kind of missing. Not missing, but like just it needs like a plus one. It's literal. The pun works, whatever. But
Yeah.
maybe some floating numbers. I don't know.
Yeah, I was even thinking it's something where like having again just the tick marks, right? And a lot of watches won't even have numbers, which I can't stand those. What time is it actually looking at it?
Yeah,
But
Roman
just that alone,
numerals or something. Yeah, or even ticks. Yeah, ticks work.
and having them in the background, and even then, it's like when you have like a metal object or something like that again, right? Which is shiny and metallic and all that. It's just the fact that there's metallic threading, or you don't always have to go for it, but you can kind of put some glints or some highlights to have the illusion of that. And again, there was like a chrome. I think that Levi worked on it as well. I think maybe it was a collab chrome Doberman or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well. So it's like the Doberman's been rendered for sure. I think in a metallic kind of a style. I think.
He had it with gears. So basically, he had like Roman numerals and gears, but no pocket watch. So it was like the dogs,
okay.
And then behind them was like all that stuff. So
right, yeah. So maybe since he was thinking metallic,
maybe a mix of both.
It's like having the dog's head be more integrated. You know what I mean? It's like I almost want to see that in like a clock face, sort of thing. So it's like one or the other being, more apparent.
Yeah, I think what it needs is kind of like some type of thing that links one or two. So it's not just plopping like a dog on a watch or a dog in front of gears, like some type of illustration that kind of makes them kind of flow together.
Yeah, like that.
Because the concept is strong.
Yeah, it's almost like it, and it's sort of been done, but I know there was a dog portrait kind of bust one. I can't remember what the idea was at.
Oh, Milos, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, yeah. It's like you almost take that, those classic portraits of like whatever, and then the pocket watch there. The idea could be tucked way in. So this bust of a dog, and he's got a collar or whatever, and then he's just got the pocket watch that you can just see there. So it's, but having the idea more subtly involved there. Yeah, but the illustration style is cool. It's like he's done great. The dog face is awesome.
Another thing that could be cool too is instead of the typical like chain, you can make it like a dog collar.
Right, sure.
Spiky collar or something, something you would normally see on a Doberman. But
integrated around the neck too. I mean,
there's so many applications. But I feel it's right there. I feel it's just missing a couple things. Like I think the negative space kind of hurts it too.
Yeah, like the chain. You mentioned something with the chain. It's like there's, it's going outside of this. Like it's such a nice, again, enclosure, right? If you were to just get rid of chains, obviously you lose the idea of pocket watch. But if that just tweaking that to explore, perhaps it's that then the chain comes inside the image and goes around his neck and becomes part of the chain or whatever. But something to sort of tie stuff together and then eliminate the business around kind of
I'm even talking about the negative space within the circle and even the dog. Like it's almost that negative space is almost begging to be black.
Yeah.
Just so you can kind of hide it a little bit more.
Right. Yeah. Deepen it. Yeah. He's got the black visor too as well, for sure. I mean, go with and there's some black I noticed. There are
in there. So he's got black as the color, so just lean into it.
Because there's almost not enough there. Like looking at it, it's like to warrant that color in the design itself, you almost have to sort of make it okay by having a little more.
Yeah, because he didn't use that kind of cardinal color anywhere within the design.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, cool piece. Levi, and moving on to 17. What do we got? We got Tahoe design with Jake. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, and it's like this is another convention, right? It's like that, comes up, and it's I always find it neat to see how people solve right the whole image and the shape of an animal or something like that, the image inside of it. I think it looks cool. It's like whenever I see one of these, it's like there's been a lot of them, but
Mhm.
oddly enough, it's like I'm always interested. Like it's always a really interesting type of like design. Having the landscape kind of thing in the shape of an animal. Yeah, the only part of me would be, and I'm sure he's already done this, is to look back and to see if it's like, okay, has a bear in this pose been done with a similar landscape, because it is such a like just a mix and match. Like there's so many different animal shapes and then landscapes that you can kind of mix and match with. It's the only thing I would I'd always be like, oh, I gotta check that to make sure that it hasn't been done too similarly before. But yeah, it's a nice looking design. The landscape is nice. It's good. Like there's a lot of detail that goes into these types of depictions, and yeah, it's like sometimes they can work better than others. Um, yeah, it's a gorgeous like looking design for sure. Maybe the yellow is actually the for some reason it works with the sun that's in there, and it's working with the highlights in the mountain and all that. But then when it comes out to to the bear, and then yeah, it's like part of me is thinking like I want it to tie into the orange. I don't know why that's in the under visor on the button on the top. It's not that it has to, but it's like I'm thinking it'd be great to see.
Yeah.
So it's not so prominent, if it was just yeah. Again, it wouldn't connect itself to the sun, in there, which when I look to the top, that I like that, like that's really nice. And then as my eye goes around to the rest of the outline, it's very, very prominent. It's the only thing, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see what this would look like with either a red outline or an orange outline as
Yeah,
opposed to the yellow. Um, we are being spammed by this kind of like concept, silhouette shape, landscape stuff. I know that they vote well.
yeah, they do. Yeah.
I worry about this passing through legal because it reminds me a lot of the Minnesota Wild kind
Oh
of.
yeah, yeah. The
I mean,
colors
theirs
actually are very
is
similar.
a silhouette of a bear head, not the bear body. He's kind of got like the California Republic state bear there, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, I think back to like Arctos, which was kind of close. I mean, this now we're going back years, but there was one where it was a silhouette of a bear head with
Okay.
the thing, but it wasn't the whole body. So I mean,
Right.
um,
But
but yeah,
still, yeah.
it'll probably vote well and it'll probably get in. So I mean, it's drawn nice. There's nothing. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. It's done very well. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if the colors work well all together though. It's kind of got like this University of Miami green and orange for the hat, and then everything under the sun in the logo
Mhm.
itself. It's got
Yeah, the blue, it's tricky, right? Like
yeah.
there's a whole lot of colors. Like it looks unified, but then again, there's certainly like there's a lot of color in there.
Mhm,
Makes you wonder if one could be removed.
for sure. All right, moving forward. We got the undead. Magnus is back with this um crazy unicorn
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
thing. It reminds me slightly of Josh Wolz's Christmas hat a little bit, but
Oh wow, right.
with the Mary Lod, he had like the horse head too. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
what do you think of this?
yeah. It's crazy looking. It's yeah, I like it. It's Magnus' style is really awesome. He does some insane detail in his like artwork. Artwork is awesome. I always look
Oh yeah,
at that. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I saw this a few days ago, just on posted. The sketch too, I like he'll sometimes he's someone where like he'll sometimes just show the doodle from months back or whatever. So I'm because I know I work that way as well. Not everyone has to or does, but I just always like to see that how true the final one was to the sketch or whatever, just to see where it went. And he's usually right on it. The sketch is always like super detailed, and then it's an easy walk to the final product. So yeah, it's neat. It's like creepy but beautiful at the same time, which is hard to achieve, right? If I think if the colors of this were like red or were not fantastical or were not purple and blue and all this stuff, then it would might look maybe a little bit too morbid or devilish or
yeah.
satanic or something. But it's great color choices too. Yeah, it's like definitely meets fantasy. It's cool.
Yeah, he picks colors that like work well to kind of pop off each other. You know, like the blue and the yellow work well with each other, and then he kind of has this like purple and fuchsia, and he's got a little bit of like almost lavender. Like it's like a really cool mix of colors you don't see used as a palette together that often.
Yeah.
And it's still dark, but yet not dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like
yeah. It's not that. Yeah, like you
yeah,
don't feel like wearing it. You're like bad karma or something, or people are gonna look
yeah, yeah.
really out
So
there. Yeah,
it's got like like a lot of paradoxes that kind of works for it. I mean, it's a cool piece for sure. It's rad.
yeah,
All right, moving forward. And good to see him kind of back
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and submitting again.
yeah,
Great, talented artist.
yeah.
All right. Three Wishes by Heather and Smartifus.
Yeah.
What are your
Interesting.
thoughts here?
It's like a one little story again. Like 3 wishes. Like there's a story here that I gotta. It's like
Yeah, I feel like we're missing this story. Like, what is
yeah,
going on?
yeah, because it's very like it's bold, right? Like there's, yeah, it's like I want to. There's obviously it's like now I got to look back and I got to see if there's something deliberate within there for sure. And on that monkey paw in the hand, there's a shape on there that I'm trying to lean in to see. It's like, okay, there's some kind of symbol, just a swirl in there. Yeah, I think honestly, and it's probably the fact that I'm such a concept idea person in my work or whatever. It often gets in the way where if I'm seeing something, it's like first my brain wants to check that, and it's like, oh, what's the idea? What's it? And then you go and see that, so I understand it, and then off, and then I'll kind of look at everything else and think, okay, now I know. Okay, I see what you're doing with this decision, and with that decision, and all that stuff. So that was the first thing that hit my mind for sure. It's like I want to know what's 3 wishes. It's from a monkey that is a specific thing of folklore that is known or whatever for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the colors are real interesting. Like that lavender with the green.
Yeah.
And this is the second week in a row we've seen Aaron Bird kind of collab with someone totally unexpected. I mean, last week we had him with Ephra, and now this week with Heather. Never even
nice.
Good to see him back and submitting again.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's just I'd have to look more into like what the heck is going on.
This is definitely one where I'm like, it's like I feel like I would need to know if whatever the story or whatever isn't coming at me immediately where I'm like, oh, I know right off the bat, and it's like and it's like I'd need to either check up on that to see if I'm closed loop on that or but it's interesting. Definitely the colors, if anything, it's such an iconic illustration they're dealing with right there. It's like choosing one direction or the other. Like since it's obviously a monkey, like having brown or whatever beige fur, that could very well be different shades of purple or whatever to kind of just pull everything together a little bit more.
Yeah, the story that they posted, the themes, it's like once upon a time in a dense struggle, a clever monkey stumbled upon an enchanted tree. So I think they just totally made it up. So
okay, so it's it's fiction.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. It almost has the last Airbender arrow in its head, almost.
Yeah, I was noticing like the shadow of the finger. It's sort of obstructing that. I was going to ask actually if it was. It looks almost like a tree, but like the last Airbender, icon on there. Yeah. I think maybe simplifying stuff to have like that come forward more. Maybe that could be in green. They're dealing with this mystical story that they made up, so it's like they've got complete freedom to have colors not express reality whatsoever, which is definitely I think where I would go is you could make if you're going to have the green work with the purple, which can be super cool. Then it's like make that shape green because it's like we're dealing with a fantasy monkey here, so it's like sort of push the use of the fantasy colors to simplify the shapes a bit and eliminate the shadow there and the shadow on the side. You wouldn't even need that because that's like something to do with reality.
I'm getting freaked out with the pinky too. The pinky is so short, and then the thumb is almost like human-like too. It's just
I think and it's tricky, like because with the 3, I guess that's normally how, and it would cover up any. So I can see why that was chosen, but it's like I think they'd have to maybe work with like that finger. Looks like it's hurt below that. So.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving forward. Last but not least, we got Float, Ryan Simmons animation with the sea turtle, kind of expanding on his current series. I think he did one originally was a shark,
Yes.
and he did another one that I think was a koi. So this would be his like third kind of half. Those were both underwater with the ripples. Now we got one that kind of breaking the plane and coming out of the water, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's neat. Like it's a cool, yeah, it's a really cool like third part, right? He's creating a new trilogy out of these, which is awesome. Yeah, the style that he's worked with, like Koya, I think that was the first one, and that did so well because that illusion of depth that he created was just wonderful, and I think that was that sealed the deal, and it was sort of the same again with the shark and with this, despite the story or the name, it's almost just visually, it's such a peaceful neat way that he's illustrated it. So it's just, and yeah, his choices, with detail, but not too much, and no outline, and it's done in that style, and having the shadow just there, it's great. So yeah, the way that he went around just depicting it, kind of beautifully is wonderful, and the colors. I love how he's made colors that normally are tricky to contrast with each other, like having the teal background against like a green turtle, especially below the water there where there's really not a lot of contrast.
Yeah.
It's that's brave because it's tricky. Like there's almost not enough contrast to make that work, but he's made it work quite well, like really, really well.
Yeah, there's like advanced color play and color techniques to this. You got the ripple, but then when the ripple's behind, or sorry, when the ripple's in front of the turtle, it changes to like that kind of almost Everest green.
Yeah.
And then the under part, the parts that are underwater are like more of like a neon green as opposed to like a flat green. Like there's so many little color tricks within this piece, and there's no story behind it. It's just a cool looking turtle.
Exactly.
And I think that's cool. Sometimes you don't need fancy crazy stories to think about. It's just I'm just wearing a sea turtle because
totally
cool.
Yeah, and if you love animals,
I'm
like
for it.
yeah, a lot of animal lovers, like that really works. So it's like that's enough. Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Yeah, just a majestic creature. But all right, I'm definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your day to kind of chat and kind of film this. It's been cool to kind of get to know you. Fellow Canadian too, so that's always extra points. We gotta schedule some time for me, you, and Sierra to get together. Like
Yeah,
a DJ game or something.
Yeah, watch the tank, right? Yeah, Sierra's a tank too. Yeah, the thing we know best. Yeah.
Oh man, I just pay Vladdy. Can we just?
Oh.
If he leaves, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Oh God, I think I've got my own opinions on all that, which tend to be a little bit odd, but yeah, now they've got no choice, right? They've just fashioned themselves into. I mean, I honestly think he was anyway. I think he doesn't have a lot of time doing what he does. He's had some injuries, and he's wonderful, and he's a star. But there's only so much. He's not operating on a basis, right? There's some obvious things where it's like it's not going to go up anymore here, and in terms of value of building a team around a player. And it's incredible.
Yeah.
They bought so heavy into it.
I say pay him, but not many first basemen actually get paid $400 million. But just we're like we're in it champs. Like, oh yeah, we're the front runner champs. Like, it's just if no one else is gonna take the money, someone's gonna take the money. But
totally, absolutely, they have no choice now.
Yeah, yeah, it's just such a bad situation to be in. But I still look forward to baseball coming back.
Yeah. Do you have any other teams other than it's always worth it to ask, right? It's like, what's your other, because we don't have another Canadian team. So do you have another National League team or whatever?
So my National League team was always the Dodgers. They wear blue. Excellent. They're a fun team to root for. But now they're like, it's almost cliche to root for those assholes now.
I know, right? They're the guys who want
from us.
Oh, dear God. I mean, it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
It's easy to steal stuff from us, essentially. But yeah, for sure. Right.
I was actually discussing this with one of my good friends who's also a diehard and we both said at the same time, at least the Pirates are kind of cool. They're young. Hate the owner. Close to proximity. Beautiful ballpark.
Yeah.
So I might be switching my allegiance from my National League team to the Pirates or the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, Ellie de la Cruz is an amazing player. Yeah. And then I also do a lot of design work for Colorado. So, I mean,
nice
to cheer for Colorado. But, like, these are 3 teams that aren't going to do anything.
Right? It's like, I mean, Pirates, right? They could be on, that's what they're saying, an early arc to see what happens, Yeah.
It's weird, though. Like, no other sport has it like this where, like, the team you're facing, your whole salary could be paid for by just the closer. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Whether like the Tigers that eliminated the Astros made less than Josh Hader. Like what? Like how does that? I don't know. In what sport are you allowed to do this? This is crazy.
Yeah, the camaraderie in that sport. I mean, I don't know. It's like obviously you can play to win. You're part of a team, but wow, being on the field, it's like you'd be like, am I valuable here? If you're on the low end of that, you'd be like, just walk off. It doesn't matter. And it's heartbreaking, right? As they say, heartbreaking sport.
We still got two championships, so we'll just have to hang our hats on those. But I appreciate you stopping by. It was great to meet you. How can people kind of connect to you?
Instagram. Is always good for sure. That's sort of I'm on that pretty often. That's sort of the best way. I use Facebook too much, and, X or whatever. It's I'm on Instagram most of the time. Yeah.
All right, cool. If everyone gives you a follow, hopefully they connect with you. I can't wait to see what you have in store in the future. For Leon and Rory, we're out of here.
Thanks so much, Leon. Thanks.
Peace.
Bye.
You're at the end of the world as you know it, my dude. Time is up and you out of mood, so what will you do? It's the BP mercenaries not here to